Yeah, just appreciate you guys coming out. Big time shout out to the youth that were able to make it out. Means a lot to us to have a day like this. I think our players really understand the opportunity that they have to be role models and impact young student athletes and just young students in general. And so to have them here on a day that's a little chilly outside really means a lot. Their energy, a lot of fun, pretty electric. In regards to the game, proud of us, back-to-back games, really doing a good job of taking care of the ball, and, that's been a huge point of emphasis for us. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but I really appreciated the effort defensively, especially in that third quarter. I felt like we really picked up our intensity, our grittiness, and really defended well in that third quarter. And, the important thing is you just continue to move the needle. Obviously, a game going into finals week, coming off a pretty emotional win. You're a little concerned about games like this as a coach, but found a way to get it done. And always a good day when you can play so many on your bench and have such a deep rotation. So happy for the girls, excited for them to go knock out finals and finish that on a strong note in the classroom, and looking forward to the next week and a half of practice.
All right, we'll start with questions for the student athletes. Mark?
Shay and Destiny, I guess I want to get your thoughts on this from both of you. I wonder if this type of game is kind of maybe a challenge mentally. You're coming off a Big Ten opener. You're playing in the middle of the day. You're playing a non-conference game. Is it kind of a mental challenge that you have to meet? And if so, how do you kind of prepare for that?
I think Coach said it best in our locker room. Literally just said it. We put a lot into Michigan State, mentally, physically, emotionally, and just when you do that, it is very exhausting. And trying to come to the next day with practice and just be able to prepare the way that we needed to, I feel like it definitely was a challenge just to fully be present in every single moment, because I think that's something that we did very, very well at Michigan State. But I feel like it was definitely more of a challenge coming off of Michigan State going into today, for sure.
I would also just add, too, Coach always talks about how we do anything is how we do everything, whether that's how we show up in practice or in the classroom, or how we act towards fans and stuff like that. So she really challenges us to treat every game with the same standards no matter who we're playing against. And I think for us, we just had to be really intentional about that today. We knew that it was an early game, again, coming off a really big emotional win, so we were going to have to be extra locked in on knowing the scout and just bringing our own energy. And I thought, coming into the second half, we did a better job with that.
Jim?
For both of you, if you could, it's kind of a bigger picture question. There's, I think, eight new players from different places and 7 existing players. Now that you've had kind of 11 games under your belt, it seems to be going well. How does that process work, just kind of integrating all together?
I think anytime you have a team with a lot of new people, it's always a challenge at first, but it really is the reality of college basketball these days. There's not a ton of teams that have a lot of returning players. So for us, I think we set a really good foundation in the summer of making sure we were all connected and really knew each other off the court, which I think has made us just want to play even harder for each other on the court, and just allowed us to really lean into the behaviors that we set as a team. So, it's pretty cool to think that our ceiling is still growing, and it's the beginning of the season, so all that's going to happen is we're going to continue to get more connected and learn how to play off of each other better. And but I think we've done a good job so far, and credit to the coaches who've helped us with that.
Yeah, I mean, she basically said it all. I just think that the connectivity part is something we've really been focusing on, and we genuinely enjoy playing with each other out there. And I think that that shows when you look at the stat sheet, and I think it shows because we want to play unselfish basketball. And I think that it's just a really cool and special thing because me and her have been on different teams, and it's not always like that. So to be able to come here and kind of mold and create that culture is just really cool to be a part of.
Destiny, you just used the word unselfish, which is kind of fitting because in that second half, to open things up, I think you guys had 6 or 7, different scores to open that big run. Just how key was that to just kind of really share the ball and ditto with that first quarter? I think 6 different people scored the opening baskets, and just being able to kind of flip that switch coming out of halftime.
I think we were a lot more intentional coming out of halftime, like, we didn't start the game the way that we wanted to, for sure. And I think that we kind of got caught in playing, like, very low energy, kind of just settling for a lot of different shots, and our shot selection wasn't the best. And only way we were going to get out of that was just moving the ball, trusting in each other. You know, that was one of the points that Coach made at halftime, was being able to trust in each other, which that's not really a problem. I think we just weren't being mindful of that, and we weren't being intentional behind that. So coming out into the third quarter, it definitely showed.
Riley?
For either of you can answer this question, genuinely, on Education Day in front of all those kids, how important was it that you scored exactly 67 points? Was that a goal or something you discussed in the huddle? Because it looked like you guys were really trying.
Well, we were saying once we realized we needed 3 more points to get it, I think we kind of started jacking threes a little bit too much. So we eventually were like, all right, like, we're just going to play, forget about it. But it was funny because I was taking the ball out and the kids were yelling from the sidelines, 22, 22. I'm like, what the heck? They were like, we need 2 more points. We need 2 more points. So I think it was more important to them than it was for us, but we were really excited too that we were able to get them that moment.
I think personally, it was some of our, like, personal goals. I don't know if, like, we all, like, shared that, because it really wasn't that important, but, like, I definitely came out today like, yo, like, we got it.
We knew. We knew.
Yeah, for sure.
Sean?
I appreciate the honesty.
To kind of follow up on that, was there the added kind of push to obviously having an offensive struggle-filled second quarter, but hey, we want to give these kids free cheese curds in that third quarter and really kind of put the hammer down?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were just playing our basketball. We just came out playing like we were supposed to, and that's really what it came down to, us just doing what we were supposed to do the first time.
Yeah, I think we try to not focus on those type of things because at the end of the day, we just knew at halftime we weren't playing up to our standard. And honestly, I mean, our defense, we held them, I think, to 24 points in the first half. So it really was our offense. We were getting pretty good looks. We just weren't converting on them and missed a couple passes in the zone and things like that. So we just really talked about that. And I think once we all came out there with the mindset to share the ball, the offense just naturally started flowing better.
Mark?
Coach kind of touched on, the turnovers. I think 10 today, or 11 today and 10 the other day. As players, what's kind of, it might sound simple, like how do you prevent those, but what's kind of gone into, that, the improvement in that part of the game, the last couple games, and is this something you think you can kind of, how do you continue it?
Definitely starts in practice, I would say. The coaches have been huge on it, as they should be. It's just been a huge emphasis for us of taking care of the ball and how much more effective we are when we don't let teams turn us over. And so it really comes down to just us being poised and not letting other teams speed us up. We want to play at a certain pace, but just really reading the defense, taking your time on catches. And I think since we've been so intentional about it in practice, it's really translated into the games.
I just want to re-emphasize how it's been a huge emphasis in practice. Definitely just playing with more confidence and poise. I think that, trusting in our abilities to be able to take care of the ball is definitely starting to affect, all 5 that's on the floor. And I think that, not saying that we didn't trust in each other or our own abilities before, but I think that as the games have kept going on, that confidence and that trust is only going to keep growing.
Jim?
Destiny, your coach is trying to build something here that's long-lasting, and you're only going to be here for 1 year. I'm just curious, some of this, it doesn't happen overnight at a lot of places. What, from your perspective, being here only 1 year, what do you think can happen this year, and what do you think it means going forward?
To not be very vague and just say broad, I think that we're going to do something really special this year. It started in the summertime. We didn't really come into the summer talking about basketball. We came into the summer talking about characteristics of who we want to be as people first. So I think when you start trying to build a team like that and start trying to push the connectivity, that's something that isn't going to happen overnight, but for that to be the focus, it's something that's definitely going to continue to evolve, like every single practice, every single week, every single month. And I think that if I look back from June to now, like, it's definitely night and day. I think that we have a lot of deep conversations with each other, very genuine people that are around this entire team, our support staff, our actual coaching staff, the players, like everyone who's around us, like you can just feel that it's something different. And you got to be a part of it to really feel it. But I think that we're able to showcase that at times too. You know, we chose to be introduced as a team, and that was something that was really big too, because the team is more important than any of us individually. What we wear on the front of our jersey is more important than what's on the back of our jersey. So I think, you know, when we start to put those different, just change our perspectives about things that, you know, we felt for a long time growing up. You know, we're all adults now. We all see things the way that, you know, we were either raised or experiences that we had. And I think that Coach P and the rest of the staff does a really good job of changing our perspectives about life and what basketball is really about.
Question for both of you, but Destiny, you mentioned the character of the team and how that's what you've been trying to build. How impactful is a day like this in front of all those young girls and boys for you guys to really showcase that impact, the character of the team, build something special, as you said, and sort of inspire the next generation?
Yeah, to me, honestly, it's everything. I think just knowing, we talked about this before the game, but just knowing that we have a greater purpose than just the product that we put on the floor, not only just to inspire generations and show kids that they can do anything they want, but also just a greater purpose. And, you know, you mentioned the girls, but I just love seeing those little boys there too, who like are looking at female athletes and cheering for us and wanting us to be successful. And I just think that where women's basketball is going is so powerful, and to know that those kids are looking at us and being like, wow, I could get there one day. If I work hard enough, I can be in their shoes, is just such a privilege. I remember my parents taking me to games like that when I was little and just wanting to be there so bad, and the fact that I'm able to sit in those players' shoes now and inspire and just take a minute to go high-five them after the game truly is just everything to me and I think our entire program.
Any other questions for the student athletes? You two are good to go. We will open up questions for Coach P. Mark, you can start.
Coach, I asked about the turnovers before. This was the first time I think you shot under 40% and won the game. Is not turning over the ball, is that kind of part of one of the benefits or one of the values of, you know, not shooting well, but, you know, still being able to put points on the board?
Yeah, I think, you know, you're going to have nights where the ball just doesn't fall for you, but, you know, controlling the things that you can control. And, you know, I felt like how we defended in that second half was, you know, who we want to be. And I think we've been a pretty good defensive team for the most part this season. Maybe had some you know, possessions or stretches here and there, but I think, you know, we've been pretty consistent defensively. The biggest, you know, challenge has been how do we get those turnovers down? And, you know, we just aren't in a position to give up second and third shot opportunities, so rebounds, and then the possessions where, you know, they're virtually unguardable when they're live ball turnovers, and how do we, you know, make sure that's a manageable number. And so we always talk about trying to play with 12 or less, and a lot of that comes down to pace, you know, and just a sense of urgency to value the ball. We always talk about we can get back and defend live ball or dead ball turnovers. We can't defend live ball turnovers. And so something we've been talking a lot about in practice, and, you know, I give credit to the young ladies. They've really embraced that, and I think have done a much better job.
Sean?
I mentioned just the kind of struggles offensively in that second quarter. Just how pleased were you with the immediate response coming out of halftime and really kind of asserting yourselves? I think it was a 13-0 run to open things, and 6 of the 7 buckets came off of turnovers that you guys forced.
Yeah, you know, again, I think it's a team that's learning and growing every day, win or lose. You know, we want to continue to move the needle, and the fact of the matter it's I think, you know, when we talked in the locker room, it is, you know, I'm asking them to give me everything they got, mentally, physically, emotionally. And to do that game after game after game, it's a lot and it's hard. And that's why the season's like so draining. but you've got to figure out how to manage that space. And, what does that look like for each individual? Their ability to, recover from a mentally and physically, and then just to be able to get yourself ready to go compete at a high level. And, I think with this game, obviously, coming off the heels of a Big Ten game, a little bit more challenging, but I thought at halftime they pivoted. They were able to regroup, recenter, and I thought finished the game strong. So really, really happy for them. It's a group that's continued to work really hard and continued to lean in. And, you get a chance to visit with them all the time. It's just such an incredible group of young ladies.
Jim?
Robin, coaches are always asked about identity. What do you want this program's identity to be, and have you seen signs of that forming so far, even this early?
Yeah, absolutely. I want our identity to be a really connected team that has great alignment, that plays, with a lot of passion, a lot of grittiness, a lot of toughness. We want to run in transition. I think there's still opportunities to move the needle in that area. We do want to play fast. I think, we're still that's a work in progress to play at the tempo that we want to play at. But defensively, we want to be a team that doesn't give up second and third shot opportunities, that's really gritty, that's tough, that's resilient. But I think for us, this year one, that connectivity piece is everything. You hear the players talk about it, the foundation that we want to lay. And I think they've done a really, really great job of that. And I think that there's still room to grow.
Riley?
Coach, you had an 11 a.m. tip-off today. You have an 11 a.m. tip-off coming up in about a week and a half. What are the differences and challenges in getting your team ready for a morning game versus an afternoon or evening game, or is it pretty much the same?
Oh, no, I think it's a lot different. I just think everything's a little bit off in regards to afternoon games. You usually have a shoot-around. You've got a film session before your pregame meal. It just seems like it's the timeline is a lot easier. I think there's benefits of an 11 o'clock game. I wouldn't trade the opportunity, to have these students in the stands and have a chance to interact with them for anything. And so I think, pros and cons, I think it definitely outweighs being able to adjust our schedule to have a day like this where it's an education day. I think, our next game, being an 11 o'clock game, our window for, to be able to exhale and recenter and spend time with our family over the holidays is so small. We're the only sport, I believe, I could be wrong, I don't know hockey. I'm new to this hockey thing, but I really respect it. But to play both semesters, it's a really long season. And so when there's an opportunity that maybe we can get our players home a little bit sooner by playing at 11 instead of 2, because then we wouldn't be able to catch flights after that, I think there's a lot of value in that. And so it's, just doing the right thing for the right reasons. And plus, it's good for us to have to adjust and be resilient. And, I think to be able to pivot. And I think all that, those experiences add up over time of the course of a season.
Mark?
I know you had a size advantage, but the 19 offensive rebounds, that was a season high. And I guess I'm wondering, just when you see that number, what does that, even though you did have the height advantage, what does that tell you, if anything?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of shots out there to get when you shoot 38%, right? So there's a lot of opportunities out there. But it's something we emphasize a lot. I mean, offensive rebounding, second shot opportunities, getting extra possessions, that's really important. I feel like we're still growing in that area, understanding, techniques and whatnot. I think tonight was more of a classic case of there's a lot of possessions that we're going to be 50-50 balls, and I thought we did a good job pursuing it and creating those second shot opportunities.
Sean?
Rolled out a different lineup or starting lineup than Wednesday or Sunday against Michigan State, and I know it's kind of been shuffled around like all season. Just take me through just kind of the thought process behind kind of that rotating lineup, and is it just a matter of just seeing kind of anybody can kind of go off, and we're just kind of gonna run with who we have. And you guys have obviously shown, like I said to the ladies, like you guys should really everybody shared the ball well early on in both that first and second half. But with the lineup, do you feel like that's kind of a part of it, just kind of being able to kind of spread it out and kind of give people different opportunities?
Yeah, our biggest goal is to keep you guys on your toes and make sure you guys are not getting comfortable out there. We talk a lot about it a lot. It's how we finish, who's on the court at the end. I think a lot of people talk about starting lineups, and I get it. That's just what we've done for years and years and years. But to be able to really get this team to, embrace the front of the jersey and, there's different games, different reasons behind it, whether it's matchups or whatnot. But I think the girls have done a really good job embracing, just staying ready. I want all 15 to want to start. I want all 15 to want more minutes. But at the end of the day, we've got to be able to, make sure that we're always putting our team first. And I think they've done a really, really good job of leaning into that.
Jay?
Coach, you guys have a little bit of a break now. What do the next 11 days look like for you?
I can't wait. We got some practice time. We had a week, about a week before the Michigan State game, and I thought our players really got after it. I was so proud of them, and I think a lot of times you play like you practice. Not 100% of the time, but more often than not, and was an opportunity for us to tweak some things, to install some new things, and I thought it was a really important week for us. This couple days here, we had to take a day off and then a light practice before the game today. I like it when we get to practice pretty aggressively before we play. Give the girls a chance to really focus in on finals, which is the most important thing, right? Keeping basketball in its proper place. And so trying to make sure we give them what they need to do to finish strong academically. We'll have an opportunity to take a couple days off, exhale, recenter, but some stretches of some really good practices as well. So looking forward to it. It's been hard to find. We've just had so many games so early, and I think we all really enjoyed that stretch. And I think our players would tell you they're looking forward to this stretch of practices too.